Oh, I'm excited for this one. I'm back with another one. My wife just got done creating this video and I can't wait to see it. I have not seen any of it yet. So let's get ready to start the video, shall we?
Have you heard of the hollow earth theory before? What if it wasn't just a theory? Some claim that an ancient advanced civilization lives beneath the ground, with elites secretly aware of it. Allegedly, these elites, including politicians and scientists, conduct covert expeditions to access underground cities. Supposedly, these hidden discoveries include advanced technology and energy sources that they withhold from the public to maintain control. While mainstream scientists discredit these notions, believers see anomalies in some satellite images, and some of the pictures that shows a giant hole in the ice and historical records as proof of a vast hidden civilization. And what supports this theory is that in 2017, German geologist and his team collected core samples from deep within the frozen Antarctic seafloor. And what they discovered was astonishing. They saw more than 60 different taxa of plants, similar to something that you would find in a rainforest, in a temperature regime that was similar to what we today know from northern Italy.
I believe
However,
in it.
these theories remain unproven, with clear evidence confirming their validity or not. Because until today there is no clear explanation. What do you think?
What do you think? Comments, let me know.
I'm going to show you some interesting things about it.
I just want to stop for a minute. My wife added a lot of different graphics and stuff, effects to these videos. If you pay close attention, she added these arrows and all these little flashing things. She did all that. I think it's pretty cool.
Earth's wind flow.
We've found enough of coal within 180 miles of the South Pole in a great ridge of mountains. It's not covered with snow, enough to supply the whole world for quite a while.
Well,
that's the coal. Now, there's evidence of many other minerals. We are pretty sure there's oil. Now, that coal shows the bottom of the world. Now, by far the coldest spot in the world. Where that coal is gets 100 below zero in the winter.
well,
It was once tropical. So we think there's oil there, and there's evidence, probably uranium there.
is it any secret? Is there uranium there? That would be the only thing that would be practical to actually go after, I suppose. Everything else would be economically unfeasible, wouldn't it?
Well, as we recklessly expend our resources, the time will come when we'll have to go after that stuff down there.
Well,
You know, I avoided what you said about uranium. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to have the world fighting over the Antarctic.
And Robert, is there a competition among other nations to try to get information about Antarctica and possibly to secure some of these resources?
Well, yes. There are now 7 nations very much interested. Russia is interested tremendously. That I'm sure of. Australia has an expedition down there. The Argentine, the Chile, New Zealand, Britain, and so on. Now, you can understand those people down there being interested because they live down there. The New Zealanders, the Argentinians, the Chileans, and Australians. And so we don't do much about claiming anything.
Admiral, you make
Do we
this sound a
actually-
little crowded. Are there that many expeditions now there or en route there?
Well, you know, as I said, it's the most peaceful place in the world, but I don't think it will be for long because of this intense interest on the part of other nations and this nation.
Well, Admiral Byrd,
There is so much more down there that we are not allowed to know. That's why they had the treaty and we ain't allowed to go into certain areas alone. We should be allowed to expedite anywhere we want. We should be able to go anywhere. It's cool. Admiral Byrd, that's who we was just hearing from. Do you believe in Hollow Earth? I believe in it. And if you deep dive into Admiral Byrd, it's pretty interesting, some of the papers you can read. Me and my wife did a deep dive on him one night. It's pretty incredible.
What's so creepy is that the North Pole in that old ancient map, there's more to it. So there's this satellite image from the ESA 7 satellite. This was in 1968. It was like the first visual of Earth via satellite.
What the heck?
Okay, well then this was from Google Earth.
It's the hole to the center of the Earth.
And then this was released by NASA, I believe, 80s or 90s. You're not allowed to fly over the North Pole. But Admiral Byrd did. Apparently he had his secret diary. And then when he died, his son got it. And then when his son was trying to publish the stuff in it, he died. But Admiral Byrd talks about when he went to explore the North Pole, there was an entry to inner Earth, like hollow Earth. And he describes it as being in the Earth, lush green land beyond the ice, mammoth-like creatures, a technology advanced civilization, and meeting with a being called the Master. But apparently this Master gave Admiral Byrd this message.
You see, we have never interfered before in your racist wars of barbarity, but now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely the atomic energy. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race. You, my son, must return to the surface of the world with this message.
Cool.
And then he died.
Ideas of an occupied hollow Earth would be revisited nearly 2 centuries later, in 1947, when famous polar explorer Admiral Richard Byrd flew reconnaissance missions over the North Pole. Byrd allegedly reported in his private journal about a mysterious land beyond the North Pole, which he called the center of the great unknown.
Admiral Richard Byrd was able to fly to the North Pole and back and recorded flying over lush green areas where none should have been. And then 3 years later, he flew over the South Pole.
It's rumored that when Admiral Byrd's task force actually got to Antarctica, that one of the first things they discovered was an entrance into a hollow Earth civilization that was populated by very, very advanced beings.
Are they trying to hide the fact that the Earth could be hollow? This is easily one of the most plausible conspiracy theories of all time, because we've discovered systems that stretch for miles and miles and miles and have their own ecosystem. There's a whole world beneath us and they might be keeping it a secret. Why, you might ask? Because they would have to rewrite all of our history. There's possibly species that they have claimed went extinct millions of years ago that are still around under these pockets of Earth. In 1947, Admiral Richard Byrd, a decorated naval officer, claims to have flown through a massive hole in Antarctica, and what he saw was mind-blowing.
And then they said he was crazy. Think about it.
He described a beautiful, lush land filled with giant creatures and super advanced beings, all living in the hollow Earth, according to top-secret documents. A lot of people believe this is being covered up and the government classified his diary and other documents. Could this be explained why Antarctica is a no-fly zone and you can't go there? I mean, this theory, to me, is not that far-fetched. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, and stay weird.
They're hiding more than what people think they are. It's not just because they'd have to rewrite things. They have everything written the way they wanted it written. They're not telling us because there's more to it all. Period. They just don't want us to know.
Secrets of the Underground Tunnels Part 2, Admiral Byrd and Middle Earth. It's February 19th, 1947, and Admiral Richard Byrd is in Antarctica on mission Operation High Jump, when he decides to take a small private plane to where he believes the entrance to Middle Earth is. Many believe that day that he did in fact find one of the Sims holes. But until now, there's been no real evidence to prove it, because the diaries he took that day would go missing, when in all reality, most likely, they were confiscated. But some of the entries from that day have resurfaced, and here they are. Around 1000 hours or 10 a.m., we are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope has been oscillating back and forth. Just 5 minutes later, I altered the altitude to 1400 feet and execute a sharp turn left to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, wait, it looks more like a mammoth. This cannot be, yet there it is. I decrease my altitude to 1,000 feet so I can take binoculars and spot the animal. It is confirmed. This is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. At 10:30, we encounter more rolling green hills. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing on our heading, navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. 11:30. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word. Ahead, we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. And they are also close enough to see some markings on the side. It looks like a German cross. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some kind. 11:35. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or German accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You are in good hands." I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. Don't miss part 3, fam.
That story is incredible, and I urge each of you to look it up for yourself. Google it. You can find the pages. It is amazing what happened down there. If it happened. I believe it did. But, oh my goodness, you really need to look it up. It's awesome.
Down the rabbit hole of hollow earth theory, it has led me to the Arctic, to the North and South Poles, to the pyramids of Giza, to caves in Kentucky, to mountain ranges as supposed entrances to the inside of the earth. If you haven't seen my previous video, I discussed the alleged central sun that is located within the inner world, and how the ancient civilization that resides there have history, languages, and the ability to study the stars. Then I remembered that something from the map sparked my curiosities. So hear me out. The oceans lead to outer space. You already know I'm about to break out the map. This is a proposed map of the layout of Hollow Earth, proposing portal entrances from other galaxies. Let's focus on here real quick. Be it that the ocean is so dark, dense, and only 5% or less has been explored, leads me to think that something's going on here. You and I may never be able to confirm with our own eyes if this is true or not, but one thing is absolutely certain. It's extraordinary.
The man who flew over Antarctica for the first time had a message that he couldn't get through to us. This is Admiral Richard E. Byrd, and he flew over Antarctica for the first time, and what he saw was insane. He wrote down everything he saw in his journal, which was kept hidden for a long time until one day someone went into his old collections and found it there after he died. He wrote down that he was flying north, and what he saw was a mountain range. So he went over to it, and after he crossed it, he said he saw this green valley with like a river or a stream running through it. As he got closer, he said he saw forests on the side of the mountain, and he also wrote down there should not be any green land here. He even said the light was very strange there, and he couldn't see the sun. He says he descends down and starts to see grass, and then in the distance he sees a huge animal. And at first he can't tell what it is, but as he gets closer, he claims he saw a mammoth. As he keeps flying, he sees building-like structures, and when he gets closer, he realizes it's a city. At this point, he was probably just in shock and disbelief because he said, "This is impossible. Like, there's no way this is happening right now." He said he reported everything back to base camp. And from what I've read, he wanted to share it with us, but the government wanted him to keep it confidential, so he couldn't. But on his own time, Richard came up with the Hollow Earth theory, that there is civilizations in the Earth. He thinks the North and South Pole lead to a civilization inside the Earth. His journal went public in 1965, and now there's so many different theories about this. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it could be real, or do you think it was just a made-up story? Comment down below.
He didn't just create a theory. He was saying that it was real. It wasn't a theory. He claimed he was writing down word for word what he was seeing. We're building on this, and I don't know. It just ain't no theory. It's the truth, according to this man. We all believe in it to be a theory.
The number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
The Lost World of Agartha is still very much spiral-worthy. Let's get right back into it, shall we? Years ago, I first spiraled into the theory of the Hollow Earth and took you right along with me. I spoke about some of the different books that I found on this subject, and also about explorers who allegedly ventured into that lost world of old and tried to tell people about it. So, the story. It is said that across our globe, in locations well known and otherwise, there is said to be pathways hidden in plain sight, all leading to Agartha. Now, there are different cave systems that connect the majority of these, and if passage is allowed to this realm of Agartha, there you'll find crystal towers, a glowing orb suspended at the center, which is said to be like the inner sun, and allegedly it's home to a various amount of different species. Some even are species that were lost to us here on the surface, like the woolly mammoth and different types of dinosaur life. And the tale goes that there is also a civilization, millennia older than humanity, and advanced beyond our wildest dreams. And I'm excited because I recently discovered a new book this year. It covers a wide variety of topics, one being the Hollow Earth. And it has word of a separate explorer I had not heard of before, by the name of White, whose very existence has been erased from history. Now, his tale, his story, has multiple witness accounts for Agartha, whether fact or fiction is not something that I am aiming to prove with these videos, only to discuss the extraordinary. The upcoming post will focus on our new explorer and his journey into the Lost World. I hope you join in the comments. And if you're new here, welcome to Spiral Talk. We go far out.
I like how she was really into it. It made her happy, made her smile. Agartha is a pretty good story. I'm going to have to look into that one some more too, but I like it.
It may be just a theory, which may sound ridiculous, but this was once taken very seriously by scientists and politicians. In 1818, John Cleves Sims, a captain of the US Army, made a memo to all governments of the world. I declare that the earth is hollow and habitable within, containing a number of solid concentric spheres, one within the other, and that it is open at the poles 12 or 16 degrees. I pledge my life in support of this truth, and I am ready to explore the hollow, if the world will support and aid me in the undertaking.
Now think about that. He was willing to put his life on the line over this. I would do it. I would like to go do it. I'm sure a lot of you would like to go do it. I would love to see what there is. It's probably beyond our imagination. I'm really curious.
In 1692, Edmund Halley, the discoverer of Halley's Comet, was the first to put forth the idea of the Earth consisting of a hollow shell. But over the years, the mainstream view took precedence, and the majority of evidence has always supported the Earth being solid, built of layers with molten lava rolling around at its centre. But this has never been completely proven, with 12.5 kilometres being the deepest humans have dug, and where locals to this hole report hearing the screams of dead souls. The truth is, we know more about the surface of our moon than we do about what lies on our deepest ocean bed on this planet.
It's interesting. I find that really interesting. And the only reason that evidence proves that the earth is supposedly round and it's this way and that way is because that's what they created to be the truth. That's what they've put in our heads, and that's what they spoke, and they make everything line up with that. It's just their way of making it seem like it's real. I don't think it is, personally.
The fate of our new inner earth explorer, George D. White. It's about to be a time. Okay, let's spiral, shall we? Now, the story of this explorer has some similarities with the one of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, who at the time, from 1947, stories of his exploration were very much covered up by the US government. And before proceeding, all of this is just for fun. So with Admiral Byrd, his quests were in the Arctic regions of the world that allegedly yielded a story of the world beneath our own. Explorer White's story, however, was in an entirely different place on Earth, in Arkansas, of all the places. Blowing Cave in Cushing, Arkansas, to be specific. I mentioned in a previous post that White and his team found entry to Agartha through a cave system, which very much seems to be a common denominator across most of the stories that I've talked about on here. However, his story is stranger than you might think. So as he happened upon this world, he took note of its ethereal plane. And he's just like me for real, because he decided that he would stay. However, after some time, he resurfaced along with details of his travels. For instance, he talked about how advanced the people were, specifically how their medical advances healed a leg issue that he had. Healed it, as persistent as it was, instantly. But a curious thing, like this all hasn't been thus far, but most traces of him began to disappear from reality. Like most traces of him, birth certificates, the majority of people who went along with him started to recant their stories. It was an active erasure of an actual person. And according to this new book in my strange literature collection, the details that White brought back to the surface on the technology, the people, the animals, even directions has been scattered, discredited, and lost to time over the last 5 decades. The story ends with White going back to the cave, never to be seen again. Spyro Talk, join the combo. Leave some comments. What do you think about this story? Thank you for joining me here on Spyro
wild.
Talk yet again. Have a stellar day.
Fun fact, John Quincy Adams did not approve a mission to send explorers to the North Pole to try and find the entrance to the center of the Earth, which is supposedly hollow, and where the mole people live. In 1818, John Cleves Simmes Jr. published this leaflet saying the Earth was hollow and the lower levels were habitable, and pledged his life to show people the truth. John Jr. began touring the US, lecturing at sold-out auditoriums, and getting the attention of Jeremiah Reynolds, who began touring with John Jr. But Jeremiah soon realized John Jr. was a bit off and stopped touring with him, and instead proposed the US should send a mission to the South Pole for scientific research. This was the mission John Quincy Adams approved. But in 2011, Cracked.com wrote an article saying John Quincy Adams had approved a mission to find the entrance to the center of the Earth and the mole people who lived within. This lie spread around the internet like wildfire, even being published as fact by the Smithsonian. By 2020, everyone decided this lie needed to die, and Cracked issued an apology to John Quincy Adams. Hit the link in my bio to watch my Mythological Lost Kingdoms video.
You don't go down there 22 times, Emery.
Well,
just to observe plants and animals.
They weren't all they were not all of the, the same place each time, George. There were, different places that you would go. And we were investigating these other beings that were down there and seeing, what, if they could be a problem in the future, maybe. We were doing some observations. We weren't hurting anyone or kidnapping anything.
I'm sure we probably can't hurt them anyways.
But we did come upon, like I said, carcasses of beings that we would harvest these samples of tissue and bring them back and study it.
You mean to tell me that you folks went down there, you especially, 22 times, and you didn't take one of these little creatures or one of these animals or a plant?
We did.
That is a damn lie if that's what this guy sits here and says. You know better and I know better. And I would love to see what's down there. I want to see the creatures. Come on, let's go. Tired of playing games.
Many traps
little tic-tacs
for the animals and the different life beings that were down there. And we did take those back, yes.
You do. And some of them are probably alive today. A little creature.
I'm sure,
in some
100%. Well, I mean, they're still doing it. So, I mean, this is an ongoing project.
Do these things communicate? I mean, what does the little creature sound like?
Well, there's many different types of creatures, just like there's many different types of creatures on top of the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
So think about...
But these are more human than animal, you say.
Well, they are. Well, they're more conscious. Animals are conscious. But these creatures are more communicative, I'll say.
Since the 14th century, legends about a hollow earth were abound and thrived. However, most of those beliefs are mythological in origin. It wasn't until the 17th century that a scientist by the name of Edmund Halley proposed a new theory called the hollow earth theory. According to his hollow earth theory, the possible causes to Earth's magnetic field fluctuations is because there was another magnetic field around it. This would then cause the opposing gravitational pulls. The famous astronomer then revised a new model for Earth. In his proposed theory, there were 4 inner spheres with each inside of the other. Halley also propelled the theory with each of the spheres being lit up by luminous gas, that he claimed the northern lights was evidence for the gas. Halley also theorized that each of the spheres could have been inhabited by different life forms. However, he had no evidence to support if the spheres were even inhabitable. Agartha and Admiral Byrd. While there were many explorers who attempted to explore the polar regions, there was only one man who had the most success. His name was Admiral Richard Byrd. In 1928 through 1930, he explored the barren lands of Antarctica, and during his first trip there he described in his diary that Antarctica was the land of everlasting mystery. During his expedition, Admiral Byrd had inadvertently found an additional world within Earth. Admiral Byrd's Hollow Earth Diary. Within Byrd's journal, he writes that he entered into Hollow Earth, or Agartha is what the hosts of Inner Earth called it. He recorded the inside temperature at 74 degrees Fahrenheit, and had traveled 17 miles overlooking rivers, green vegetation, mountains, lakes, and even animal life. He
I
described
don't
the
know about
animals
you
as
all,
beings of huge
but that
size,
just sounds
even
like
comparing them to
perfect weather to me, perfect land to me. It's perfection. What if this is heaven? I don't mean to step on any toes, but you never know, right? Who
the
knows?
woolly mammoths. He eventually found a civilization and was greeted by advanced aircraft. The pilots of these aircraft forced his plane to land, and they greeted him before taking him to meet the king and queen of Agartha. They told him because he had high morale and a high ethical character, he was allowed to enter the inner world of Agartha. The king and queen of Agartha then told him that they were worried for the surface, as they recently began nuclear testing. Byrd was eventually escorted back to the surface, but before leaving, he noticed the inner world also had an inner sun.
Dude, it was freezing outside today. I know I'm gonna catch a cold. You don't catch a cold by being cold. Then why does that always happen? Well, when it's cold, you tend to stay indoors and you're like in close proximity with them people, so viruses can spread quicker. Bro, what? Hey, what happens when you stand in front of a microwave? You can get cancer. No, there is no evidence that has ever happened. I could have sworn I was taught that. Hey, what happens when you drink coffee as a kid? It can stunt your growth? No. Just...
I heard that one about the coffee many times just growing up, and I'm 6'2", so it's not true.
No. So that's not the reason I'm the shortest one in my family? What happens when you bleed in the ocean? A shark can smell it from like miles away? No, it's like a few hundred yards, not miles. But they always say that on Shark Week. Hey, what is the only man-made structure you can see from space? The Great Wall of China? No. You can see it like high up, but not like space high up. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen a picture. Hey, how old are those puppies? A couple hours? They're really cute. Bro, it's so crazy how Isaac Newton discovered gravity by having an apple fall on his head. It's because he didn't. What do you mean? An apple never fell on his head. An Indian mathematician and astronomer named discovered it 1,000 years before him. Bro, what? Hey, who discovered the Earth was round? Columbus. No, the ancient Greeks found out about 2,000 years before him. Also, everybody kind of already knew. That's not what they taught us. Hey, who discovered the light bulb? Thomas Edison. No, British chemist Warren de la Rue discovered it 40 years before him. It's almost like they wanted us to think that America was the smartest country. Hey, you remember that Rosa Parks fact I told you? That was wrong. What do you mean? Claudette Colvin actually did 9 months before Rosa Parks did, but the NAACP didn't want to use her as a martyr because she was 15 and pregnant. I have never heard that before. Hey, I know I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. Who discovered America? Huh. Not Columbus.
Things they teach us in school, huh? The things that our parents are forced to teach us over the years, too. Go to school, you gotta believe this, you gotta believe that. But I remember being a kid and having these thoughts about Mars and different things that we was from Mars. And I just had all kinds of different beliefs, and it's like school kind of just crushed every belief that was in my mind. But I still remember them now that I'm a lot older. They're still there. But yeah, it kind of bothers me, the things they teach the youth. It's just over and over and over on a repeat. Rinse, cycle, repeat. And I just want to give a shout out to my wife for putting this video together. The Hollow Earth Theory, Admiral Byrd. I would love to get more into all that. And I would love to share what we have found so far. Leave a comment. Let us know if you would be interested in that. Let us know any other stories that you'd be interested in watching with us. And please subscribe. and like, and also leave a comment letting my wife know that you want her to join me. Couple. We do a couple one. Anyways, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate you joining. I hope to see you again. Peace.